If you want the inside scoop on a lot of the big changes that are coming over the next couple of years, make sure that you watch this video. On February 17th, 2026, we will have our first eclipse of the year. And not only is this going to be the first eclipse of the year, it is going to be the first eclipse on the Aquarius-Leo axis. This is a very important axis, not only for ourselves personally, but for the world as a whole. And in my last video on the full moon in Leo, I really did say that it's important for you to take note of the impressions that you are getting about that Leo section of your life, because it's helping you understand the lay of the land before the accelerated changes. I also stated that the next lunation, the new moon, was going to be the first eclipse in this series. This is actually just going to be a preview though, because we've got the new moon happening in Aquarius close enough to the nodes, which are still on the Virgo Pisces axis, to where we're getting an eclipsing of the new moon. This means that we haven't necessarily finished up with the eclipses on the Virgo Pisces axis, and I have a feeling that we're going to be expecting some big changes coming about to close that up. However, right now we're getting a sneak peek of the big changes that are going to be coming. And legitimately, you guys, Aquarius Leo, that is big stuff. We've got the ruling class and societies, communities. We also have technology represented by the sign of Aquarius, as well as the future and plans for the future, forward thinking. So I'm going to break all of these things down for you and help you kind of understand what it is that we're looking at. But I want you to understand that it is really important for you to start applying this stuff in your own life. Make sure that you grab a copy of your chart, especially a copy of your chart that has the degrees listed, so you can start following along. And also go back and watch that Leo video, the full moon in Leo video, to see if you can figure out what you had going on around that time, especially regarding the different things that I mentioned in that video. But now for this video, I want you to actually pay attention to what you have going on in the sign of Aquarius. This eclipse is going to most directly impact those of you with planets or angles, meaning ascendant, descendant, IC, MC, between 25 and 29 degrees of Aquarius. If you have anything there, that means it's going to directly be impacting you. Now, if you have something between 25 and 29 degrees of either Scorpio or Taurus, this is going to be creating a square in which it's going to create some type of tension that will create some type of change in your life as well. And if you have something between 25 and 29 degrees of Leo, then it is going to be creating something that will show you a tension point. It's going to show you where you have to really make a decision. I mentioned those points first because typically it's the harder aspects that we tend to really pay attention to in our lives, whereas the more flowing ones are easier to ignore. That doesn't change the fact though that we will actually have flowing energies being made to Sagittarius and Aries. So if you have anything between 25 and 29 degrees of Sagittarius or Aries, this energy is going to make a flowing aspect to you. And also if you have anything between 25 and 29 degrees of Gemini or Libra, it will make a trine aspect to you and again be really flowing energy. But either way it goes, for everybody, this is going to be affecting this section of your chart represented by Aquarius. Again, that square is going to show that it's going to be affecting all of those parts of your chart. If you do not have a copy of your chart that has the degrees listed, make sure that you get one. I know that a lot of the popular apps do not actually have the degrees listed. You want to start paying attention to the degrees because they help you understand how directly something is going to be impacting you. Yes, something can happen in your sign, but if it's happening on the other side of the sign, there's a chance that you'll understand, you'll be affected by it, but it's not going to affect you as much as it would if it's happening directly on a degree that you have something. For example, the next eclipse, which is closing out this eclipse season, is happening at 12 degrees of Virgo. I have my Sun and Mercury at 12 degrees of Virgo. That's going to directly affect me. If you have something at 28 degrees of Aquarius, this is going to directly affect you. I think this transition point is actually really interesting because we're going from a time in which Virgo was receiving the South Node and really forcing us to release a lot of what we have on the Virgo side of things and really rebalance our relationship between Virgo and Pisces. And on the Pisces side of things, it really has to do a lot more with like faith and trusting. And maybe something that a lot of people have learned during these Virgo Pisces eclipses is that maybe you can't trust necessarily a lot of the details, a lot of the information that you're getting, and you're going to have to trust another side of yourself that is like actually connected to a deeper sense of connection, a deeper sense of being, something that goes beyond our physical reality, which is also very interesting because during this time, Saturn, the planet that rules over Aquarius, the one that's hosting the eclipse itself, is going to be meeting up with Neptune, the planet that kind of dissolves reality, that dissolves time, dissolves boundaries. And that's going to play into the complexities of these energies as a whole. Another interesting part of that is that we're moving into these eclipses where we're going to have kind of a shorting of the energy when it comes to the ruling class, to the celebrities, and to those that we tend to see as like above us in a sense, and really start to show us what we have going on within the communities, within like our societies, and then also the power that we have within like the people, right? This also includes power that's possibly being wielded by technology, because we do have Pluto in Aquarius, and Aquarius not only deals with societies and communities, it also is very much linked to technology and forward thinking. So we're going to see a lot of these struggles come about where there's going to be a shorting of the energy for the ruling side, and then a lot of like really obsessive energy and maybe excessive energy going into the communities and going into technology. And with Pluto there also making everything quite extreme, we're going to see a lot of energies where you're going to have to like really learn how to balance this out. And as I always say, like understanding and knowing your own personal energies is going to be the best thing that you can do to get through any of this. And one way that I can help with that personally, because I am a consulting astrologer, is for you to consult with me, because you can get a reading and then we can go over what you have going on in your chart and what you can expect from these different energies. But also, like, if you do not have the ability to do so, which by the way, I'm still giving, like I have a discount up still. I'm still working with people. Like I'm doing everything I possibly can, because you guys, this is really big stuff, and it is going to be like literally reality shattering. There's reality disintegrating before us, and it's going to be stuff that's going to be really destabilizing for a lot of people. And I want to do what I can to help you use the energies to the best of your ability, because you aren't just having these things play out in your life. You're actively participating. Like we have our agency, we have the ability to choose and work within whatever it is that's happening. We might not understand everything, but the more understanding you have, the better you can work with things, and then the better you can try and like groove and like move with the different energies as they come about. But I'm going to do what I can in these videos also to help prepare you. So make sure that you're following me. Make sure that you have like the little thing activated so you can catch any future videos, because it's all about following the cycles and the patterns, understanding your own cycles and patterns, and then connecting the dots. Like, yes, I know it's hard for a lot of people to follow this larger, like longer, like videos and connect like larger amounts of information, but you're going to have to do that. And I know it's going to get even harder with Uranus entering into Gemini soon and really accelerating the pace at which we receive information, but it's going to be crucial for you to do what you can to truly get a grasp of who you are, get an understanding of what it is that you have going on, your own personal energies, because these energies, all of these things that are happening are going to be working out in a very particular way that's very, very tailored to you and your own energies. They'll be affecting everybody as a whole in the background maybe, but also these things are going to be affecting you quite personally. And then right now I'm talking about one section of things, which is going to be the eclipses. However, there's a lot of other energies that are going on, and there's going to be a lot to be like doing what you can to understand. And the shorter videos, unfortunately, do not give you the information that you need to actually start applying the astrology in your life and truly using it to transform yourself and get like a grip as everything starts to really go wild. And it's not to scare you, but you can already see from the beginning of this year that things are going wild, and we've only experienced the very, very tip of the astrology that we have going on. For example, a couple of days after the actual eclipse, we have Saturn and Neptune coming together, and that's something at 0 degrees of Aries. That's something that we haven't seen happen, period, in recorded history. The last time Saturn and Neptune came together was 36 years ago, and that created the fall of the Berlin Wall, the dissolution of the Soviet Union, like big energies that ended up affecting the way that the world is run today. We're going to have some disintegration and some falling apart of a lot of the energies that we're experiencing now. And the reality that we know will likely go away. And having the eclipses happening in a sign that's ruled by Saturn is really going to highlight the fact that this stuff is crumbling, right? And knowing that, yes, it's crumbling, and then trying to figure out what you can do to work with that energy is going to be one of the best things that you can do, especially if you understand how these things are working out for you yourself and where it's playing out, where you can expect the crumbling of these things, or where you can expect these accelerated changes. So just to iron this out, we've got Sun and Moon meeting together in the sign of Aquarius. The Sun does not like Aquarius because it is across from his home, Leo, right? Like this is, you guys, this is really important stuff for you to understand, because that means that the Sun's already in a harder position. He's far from home. He's meeting with the Moon and giving the Moon, like renewing the energy of the Moon, while he's already in a spot that's kind of harder for him. Also, the ruler of all of this, the one that's taking care of it, like you have any event happening anywhere, like you want to look at whoever's in charge to see how well supported this is going to be. Saturn is in his fall in Aries, where he wants to create structures. He wants to create boundaries. He wants to help society. He wants to help with technology. He wants to help with all these things. But if he's strapped, his ability to really support whatever it is that's going on is going to be affected. And then also him coming up to Neptune and having his significations and everything like that kind of disintegrated and kind of dealing with like confusion also will add to what it is that we're experiencing here. So those are two really important things for us to understand. I do believe that at the end of the day, we want to remain as positive as we possibly can, while understanding the depth at which these things can actually hit, and the actual chaos that may ensue. And again, like if you're not somebody who can hear about possible like hard situations and whatnot, maybe this isn't the best video for you, especially because like the shining light in this one, like I don't think that I can give you too much on the positive side with this. There are definitely ways that you can work with this energy to the best of your abilities. And again, it's not going to affect everybody completely miserably, but like we're talking about harder energies here. Like there's no way of beating around the bush with this. Like they're harder energies. We do have Mercury, who's making a positive aspect to Jupiter, who's ruling over Mercury, and Jupiter is exalted at this time. So Jupiter is able to really help support Mercury to the best of his abilities. But Mercury right now is in the sign of his fall, again, showing more fallen and like downtrodden energy, adding to the great picture of all of this. And Mercury is also getting ready to turn around and go retrograde. So a lot of what's happening on the mental side of things is going to be stuff that we may be thinking we have understood right now, but something's going to come back and we're going to have to rehash this out. Also during this time, Venus is under the beams of the sun. You cannot see whatever it is that's going on with her. Mars is also dealing with the same situation. So values and everything are being hidden right now. Either it's being hidden purposefully, or they're just being hidden because there's so much going on. We're not able to see that. Also, with Mars, the drive and the ability to actually make things happen is also happening behind the scenes. Mars is also connected to war. There could be things happening with war behind the scenes that we are not seeing. I do not mean to scare you, but I'm just letting you know that these are part of the energies. As the sun gets far enough away from Mars to where he's left Mars behind and Mars's energies are visible again, we may gain some perspective on what we have going on there. And as Venus clears the sun, because she's going faster than the sun, then we may gain some perspective going on there as well. Maybe changing alliances. Maybe we'll see different changes. Like the world will likely be different. There's a lot that's happening. And for all of this to be happening with a lot of secret things happening, and with Pluto being involved because he's in Aquarius, like we're, again, dealing with a lot of stuff that we're not understanding what is happening. The eclipse itself is showing that something is being hidden. There's more stuff that we are just not understanding. So if you're hearing things around this time, Understand that it may not be the full picture. Whatever it is that you're understanding around this time may not be fully whatever it is at the end of the day. Understand that, and understand that reality and what is true, what is, and what's fact and what's fiction is possibly just not necessarily the most reliable during this time. Now that I've touched on a lot of those hard things, I do think it is important to also mention that if you do approach this in a way that is open to trying to figure things out in a way that isn't the traditional way, in a way that isn't the way that you would typically do things. If you think about the fact that Saturn in the sign of Aries is Saturn that doesn't have what he typically has to bring forth the significations, and Saturn being rushed, you kind of understand that you're going to have to be a maverick. You're going to have to try and figure things out in a way that is maybe untraditional. Maybe you're going to have to find things out, like figure out a way to establish boundaries, a way to establish structures, and a way to really relate to others in a way that isn't necessarily the way that we've been going about things. If you understand that, that is already putting you in a better spot. If you're understanding that also things may not be what you expect them to be, or they may not be what they seem right now, that also helps you understand that I need to just flow with things and understand that things are possibilities right now. If you also are understanding that Mercury being in the sign of his fall, while still making that positive, that supportive connection to Jupiter, can also mean that, yes, there is some possible like expansion that's available here. There's possibly some type of reinforcement of whatever it is that Mercury wants to do here. And Mercury and Pisces, if you are going for literal things and going for details, it's probably not going to work out the best. But if you're being more imaginative, then that probably will be supported. Also, the fact that Saturn is coming up to Neptune, if you're being more imaginative and you're trying to infuse some of the possibilities into reality, you have the ability to possibly make that work. You have the ability to possibly see how different things about societies, possibly with or communities, and like things that we may have thought like are just impossible right now, where a lot of people are starting to understand the importance of communities, but a lot of people are like, well, it's not possible. Like, we can't actually empower our communities. But maybe if you actually start thinking about the possibilities, because of the fact that Saturn's coming up to Neptune, you have the ability to actually make some of those possibilities become reality. Because it's not just Neptune dissolving reality, it's Neptune and Saturn coming together. So Saturn has the ability to solidify some possible ideas, some possibilities, and bringing them into reality. And if you're working for them, make it happen. You just have to be willing to work at a pace that maybe isn't the most stable, and it's kind of rushing you to create these structures, create these boundaries. And if you also understand that maybe what it is that you're establishing right now isn't exactly the strongest, that can also help, right? And very specifically dealing with these eclipses, you're going to see the different changes of things that are happening here, and understanding that maybe what we're grasping right now isn't actually the true case, and it isn't the end of the story, can help you understand that, yeah, things may be chaotic right now, but it isn't the final word. All right. And really start to pay attention to what you have going on that Leo Aquarius axis, because it's going to be playing out. This is going to be energy like I've been talking about for the collective here, but for you in particular, it's going to be playing out in a very specific part of your chart. And now I'm going to go over what it is that you can expect in that part of your life. All right. So like, watch for, at the very least, your rising sign, but also watch for your sun sign, so that you can get a better understanding of like the different ways that this is going to be playing out for you. Starting off with you, my Aquarius people. That means my Aquarius risings, more so than anything, my Aquarius suns, possibly people with a bunch of planets piled up in Aquarius. I could be talking about you right now as well. So right now, this is going to be playing out in your first house, and it is going to be very directly impacting you yourself, whether it be your life trajectory, whether it be your body, whether it be your character, or like a mixture of all of these things. We're talking about you. So this is giving you a preview of the different things that are going to be happening and playing out in your life that are going to bring the focus onto you. Understand that you may be a little bit obsessive in this section of your life, and it may like make you hyper focus, I really want to make sure that you're giving yourself enough grace, because there's a lot that's happening in your life, and there's a lot that's just showing that like your ability to deal with these energies is going to be very much impacted by the fact that Saturn, your ruler, is in a very peculiar spot for himself, and life may just be really seeming like it's collapsing upon itself at this point in time. You have to understand it's part of the energies, and do what you can to really infuse some of the confusion and infuse some of the possibilities that may be coming through around this time with the realities that you've been dealing with, and maybe give yourself permission to try to do things at a faster pace than usual, and in a way that maybe isn't necessarily comfortable to you, because the tried and true ways more than likely will not work out right now, and you have to understand that. All right, so let me know in the comments if this is resonating for you. Let me know in the comments, like, come back and watch this video at some other point, because this is going to be something that is going to be, again, showing you like stuff that's going to be playing out for a long period of time. And a lot of times with the eclipses themselves, it takes months for these things to actually be visible, for you to understand what you have going on. And sometimes, in some cases, it'll take even years. All right, so be patient with yourself. Understand that this is bringing you into yourself. Just don't go too far into it, and don't let yourself get too hard on yourself. All right, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll catch you in the next video. Now for my Pisces people, meaning my Pisces suns, Pisces risings, more so than anything, people that may have a pile of planets in Pisces, I could be talking to you as well. All right, if you haven't watched the first part of this video, go back and watch it. I give a lot more information than what I'm going to touch on here. For you in particular, this is going to be playing out in your 12th house, and the 12th house is a section of your life that is going to be important for you to really pay attention to, because we're talking about like mental health. We're talking about things that aren't necessarily usually visible to you, and like you want to understand what you have going on. Maybe like you're going to be dealing with things that are going to be affecting your ability to rest during this time, or maybe it's going to be trying to help you understand that you really do need to rest. You really do need to figure out whatever it is that you have going on, and that mental side of things, and really deal with any self-destructive tendencies that you may have, anything like self-sabotaging, things that you're doing to possibly undo yourself. Like, there's a lot that's going on that will be spurring different things that will try and help you truly create a balance here. Rest is definitely necessary, all right? And sometimes when you're doing a lot of working and you're trying to make sure that you've got your routines down, you're working out, you're working on your diet and all this other stuff, like you kind of like neglect this other side of things, and you're going to be reminded that it's important as well, right? So let me know if this is like resonating for you in the comments. Give me a like. Make sure that you're following me so that you can catch future videos, because there's a lot more to come, and there's a lot more to touch on as far as like the very specifics of a lot of the complex astrology that's going on around this time, and I will be doing videos very shortly on that. Now for my Aries people, meaning my Aries suns, Aries risings more so than the rest of it, anything like, I build these on the rising signs because it helps me understand where exactly these things are going to be playing out in your life according to circumstances and the way that life is actually playing out for you, right? For your sun sign, it'll also resonate a lot of the times because the sun is very like central and core to our beings, and we're talking about a solar eclipse, right? For you, this is going to be playing out in your 11th house, and it's going to be showing you where there are going to be big changes happening when it comes to future plans, when it comes to maybe friendships, and it comes to you working with like maybe different communities, and how that's going to have a bigger role to play over the next few years of your life, next couple of years at the very least, and the very complex nature that it's going to be playing into a lot of this. If you haven't watched the first part again, please watch it, because I go into a lot more than what I'm going to touch on here, right? But you're going to be experiencing a lot of changes happening here with that friend group and that side of things, and what you have going on On the other side of things, where it's talking about maybe your children, things that you bring into this world, things that you create, for people that have audiences, it's also going to be talking about that. And maybe different changes that are happening there, and like maybe like a growth of like paying attention to what you have going on there. Just make sure that you are careful to not obsess and go too far into things and like just maybe blow things out of proportion in this section of life. And also understand that things may not be what they seem right now, just because the astrology is complex. Make sure that you are following me so you can catch future videos, because I'm going to go into a lot more of like the complexities and like the differences of what we have going on with Saturn and his special place, as well as a lot of the other configurations, because there's a lot of astrology playing into this that is showing that a lot of the changes and things are going to be supercharged, even more so than just by virtue of having the nodes there. All right. Let me know if this is resonating. Also come back possibly later on and let me know how this is playing out for you, because we're talking about eclipses. So this is energy that's going to take longer to play out. With regular new moons themselves, it takes a couple of weeks, possibly 6 months. You're really going to be looking at more so like the 6-month period. Even if you are starting to see some things right now, something's being eclipsed, something's being hidden. Like, it may not be the full picture, even if you think it is. Now for my Taurus people, meaning my Taurus risings more so than anything, Taurus suns, and maybe if you have a pile of planets, like a bunch of them just hanging out in Taurus, this could be applying to you as well. If you haven't watched the first part of this video, go back and watch it, because I give you a lot more context to different things I'm going to talk about right now. I'm literally going to tell you where to like see where this is playing out for you, right? And it's actually playing out in the section of your chart that actually refers to your career, your public image, and like, this is a really big part of your life, because it's something that is used to kind of like spur and keep everything else going, right? And what you're looking at happening here is that there's going to be something kind of like taking you from the home life and putting you more into like the spotlight, bringing you more into like your career section. And you might have the urge, like it might be like a little insatiable, it might be a little too much to really go into this. And I want you to make sure that you take more measured approach at this, especially because the way that things are set up and the way that the astrology is going on right now, like the balance and the structure of everything is just not necessarily the most reliable, right? And I want you to understand that, so that you don't just go balls to the wall for your career section and then kind of really throw a lot of other things off in your life. There will be eclipses on the other side too that may kind of help balance things out. It's just, it's not what I want to happen for you, right? So keep in mind that like if you are having this insatiable like desire to like do things in this section of your life, yeah, you might want to be going more towards that section, but like do it with some chill, right? Possibly. Let me know in the comments if this is resonating for you. Give me a like and make sure that you're following me so you can catch future videos, because I'm going to be going into a whole lot more information about a lot of the different complexities, because it's just too much to go into right now. Now for my Gemini people, meaning my Gemini risings, Gemini suns, those of you with a bunch of planets in Gemini, might be talking to you as well, right? If you haven't watched the first part of this video, go back and watch it, because I give you a lot more context than what I'm going to touch on here, all right? For you in particular, this is going to be playing out in your 9th house, and I kind of like these energies a little bit more for you. It's just eclipses are so chaotic, and it's going to be playing out on your 9th and 3rd house axis, where it's going to be really highlighting things between like your neighborhood, foreign lands, short distance travel, long distance travel. It could be like your beliefs and like the way that you see the world, your philosophy, as opposed to like maybe the way that you communicate, maybe dealing with your siblings. It could be dealing with maybe the smaller ritualistic things that you do in your life that are actually important. They kind of build into the other stuff. But like, I want you to pay attention to what you have going on around this time, because it's going to be highlighting different changes that you're going to be happening more specifically on the section that actually speaks more directly about philosophy, spirituality, religion, foreign travel. For some of you, foreign travel may become a thing. There may be a need that happens that immediately like just kind of sparks you having to go abroad, right? Or some foreign person appears in your life, possibly, that is going to have a bigger, like, you know, next couple year importance than what you're maybe getting at this time. Let me know if this resonated for you in the comments. Also, give me a like. Make sure that you're following me so you can catch any future videos. For my Cancer people, Cancer risings, Cancer suns, maybe people with a pile up of planets in Cancer, this may apply to you as well. If you haven't watched the first part of this video, go back and watch it because I go over a lot more information than what I'm going to touch on here. For you, this is going to be playing out in your 8th house. And the 8th house is one of those sections of life that's kind of a little more complicated, a little more intense, because we're talking about things that may be dealing with like past traumas, maybe dealing with debts, taxes, other people's like money and finances, like shared resources and whatnot. Like this is the area of life that's talking more specifically about that. And for some of you, you may end up having different situations that come up that make it to where you're more dealing with debts, or maybe you're dealing with other people's money more, or you're really moving into a position to where you're dealing with more joint resources than maybe you were before. I want you to pay attention to what's going on around this time because it's foreshadowing what you've got coming up for the next couple of years and different changes that you're going to be looking forward to, all right? Let me know in the comments if this is resonating for you. Maybe come back and watch us in a couple months and see like how exactly this is playing out, because right now it's gonna more than likely be really hard for you to understand what's happening, even if something happens right now and it's like kind of putting you into this position. Like there's more, all right? Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll catch you in the next video. Now for my fellow Leo risings and for like Leo suns, and maybe if you have like a pile up of planets in Leo, this could be applying to you as well. This is gonna be an eclipse that's gonna highlight a section of our lives that's talking about our other, right? Whether it be like a business partner, a romantic partner, open enemies also appear here as well, so I don't want to forget about that. Like, you guys, this is going to be something that's going to be showing us what we have going on in this section of our lives, and it may be bringing more importance here. I just don't want you to maybe get to a point where you're like hyper focused on it and obsessing about it. That's one of the energies that happens with the North Node moving into a section of life, is that it really brings your focus there, right? And like, things aren't necessarily what they seem right now. Like there's, because it's an eclipse, like something isn't necessarily being understood completely. Saturn is in a complicated position for himself. There's just a lot going on. So if you have things going on in your relationship right now, maybe like feel things out some, but understand that this is the beginning. You're getting a preview and there's more to come. All right. Really do take note of what you have going on here, and I'm hoping that you paid attention to that Leo full moon video as well, because that's giving you a section of like helping you understand what you have going on within yourself and your life trajectory as well. If you haven't watched the first part of this video, make sure that you go back and watch it, because again, more context. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if it is resonating. Maybe check back in a few months when like a little bit more like the dust has started settling and you maybe understand a bit more of what's going on. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Now for my Virgo people, meaning my Virgo suns, Virgo risings more so than anything, people with a bunch of planets in Virgo. This could be talking about you. You guys, like, this is going to be an interesting one, because the way this is playing out, it's actually playing out in your 6th house, and it's really highlighting work, daily routines, diet, things that are very important to Virgo people for the most part, right? And you're having something happening here that's kind of bringing you into this position to where like you're bringing more energy and more focus into this section of your life. Something might happen that changes your day-to-day routine. Something may happen that changes. This is also like, I really do want you to pay attention to possibility of maybe different physical ailments or different physical things that you have going on. Pay attention to those. They may be more important than what you're really gathering right now, especially if anything's coming up during this kind of like preview time. If you're feeling like you need to be taking care of something, make sure you do that. Something's going on with your diet, make sure you take care of that. this is an important axis where like it can throw off a bunch of other things, and since it's happening in a place that like you might not necessarily pay too much attention to, it can complicate the way that things play out. All right, so make sure you're paying attention to that. Also, the next eclipse is going to be actually happening in your sign and our sign. Me being a Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Mercury. Like it's kind of opening things up, and then there's going to be like the overlay that's going directly into you, and like pay attention to this chain of events, because it's the natural order of like the way that things kind of like move on, and these areas of life are being linked, and for you it's going to be more linked than for many other people. All right, thank you so much for watching. Again, comment, let me know how it's resonating for you. Also give me a like, and make sure that you're following me so you can catch future videos. Thank you. Now for my Libra people, meaning my Libra risings, Libra suns, people that pile up of planets in Libra, maybe applying to you as well. All right, for you this is going to be playing out in your 5th house, and 5th house is energy that's a lot more supportive for you. So while there will be big changes and things that may be a bit destabilizing for you, I do think that at the end of the day, it can be something that can be more supportive for you, especially if you're moving more into this energy and really like embracing a lot of the changes that are coming. There is a danger of like just trying to go too far into this energy, like focusing way too much into your creations, things that you bring into this world, maybe focusing way too much on your children. And like the obsessive part of that can be a little too much and can throw things out of whack. I want you to be aware of that possibility, but for the most part, I'm not too concerned about too much of what you have going on here. Again, some of the stuff may not be the most comfortable of things because we are talking about change, but I feel like, again, it's happening in a place of your life that can be very supportive to you yourself, like your life trajectory, your body possibly, especially if you're like going out and doing things to like actually enjoy yourself. You're bringing more joy into your life, especially as things get more chaotic. Like that might be something that can help. Let me know if this is resonating for you. You might want to check back in a few months when things are a little bit more visible and you're able to understand a bit more. But thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I'll catch you in the next video. Now for my Scorpio people, meaning my Scorpio rising, Scorpio suns, Scorpio risings more so than anything, but also this may apply to those of you that have a pile of planets in Scorpio. I typically, like I know a bunch of people that do. Like I attract them like a magnet. And for those of you like that have this energy here, this is playing out in your 4th house, and like it's a very uncomfortable place to be dealing with changes because it's very foundational, right? And it's like people with a lot of fixed energy don't typically like a lot of change to start with, and like having this change happen in such a foundational place again is destabilizing, right? But sometimes things need to be destabilized and switched up to actually bring a bit more stability and like longevity and in the long run. It's just the energies involved here are so much more complex than what I can touch on here. Make sure that you've watched the first part of this video because I go over a lot more, like I give more context, but also make sure that you're following me and like you have the thing activated so you can catch any future videos, because I will be going over a lot of like the other stuff that we have going on. Like there's a lot of energy that's being built into this and the future eclipses that we're going to have, because again, this is just the preview. So keep that in mind. We're getting a preview now. Pay attention to whatever it is that's happening in that home section of your life. It could be home, it could be your ancestry, it could be dealing with your parents, but for a lot of people, it's probably going to be dealing directly with your home. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Now for my Sagittarius people, meaning my Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun, Sagittarius people with a bunch of planets like lined up in Sagittarius. Like if you got a stellium going on there, could be applying to you as well. More so rising than anything, because I do really base these off of your rising sign, because that's where we can see where the energies are playing out for you, right? However, it really does resonate for a lot of people based on their sun sign as well. And again, if you have a lot of energy there, like pay attention, right? Because it's going to be affecting this section of life. Now, If you haven't watched the first part of this video, go back and watch it, because I go over a lot more than what I'm going to go over here. I give you a lot more context, and like we're talking about a lot of energies here, right? Also make sure that you're following me so you can catch future videos, because I'm going to be breaking down different parts of this, because a lot of the energies are very wrapped up in a lot of like the bigger energies over the next few years. And since we're talking about the sun and Saturn, Leo and Aquarius, like those energies are going to really be more important than what we're getting right now. Either way it goes, this is actually a preview for the big changes to come, and they're going to be playing out in your 3rd house. And that's a house that really is talking about like short distance travel, transportation, communication, maybe siblings or like cousins and like grandparents for some of you. You might see changes happening here, something that could spark a way that this area of your life plays out. And for a lot of people, you'll probably see it play out in a few different ways. So you want to be aware of the fact that like it could be affecting this section of your life right now, but later on it shows up in another one, where it's talking about the same area of life per se, but like in different ways, right? Expect change happening here, and it's going to be change that's going to be pretty much in opposition to whatever it is you have going on as far as like your beliefs are concerned, maybe your philosophy. Maybe something happens here that really changes your connection to spirituality. Maybe something happens here that makes you really get a different view on worldwide events and whatnot. And maybe a lot of you are going to start focusing on a more local way of approaching life, and like maybe doing what you can in the local sphere to really impact and affect your communities, especially because we're talking about Aquarius, we're talking about communities. The energy is really complex, so just understand that we're getting a preview right now. Make sure that you're paying attention, you're following me and catching future videos, because what happens in Aquarius and Capricorn is very much directly affected by what is happening to Saturn, and Saturn is in a position for himself where it's not exactly the most comfortable. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I will catch you in the next video. Let me know if this is resonating, and again, give me a like, please. I appreciate that. Now for my Capricorns, this means Capricorn suns, Capricorn risings more so than anything. If you have a pileup of planets in Capricorn, make sure that you pay attention to this. All right. If you haven't watched the first part of this video, go back and watch it, because I go over a lot more information than what I'm going to touch on here. And there's like legitimately, like you're going to want to pay attention to a lot of that, because what happens to Saturn is going to be very much like implicating you directly. And this is going to be playing out in your 2nd house. So like we're talking about your finances. We're talking about not just the way that you look at finances, we're talking about the way that you approach your finances, how you get your money. Like we're looking at a lot of changes happening here, and we're looking at the changes happening in a way that's going to like kind of bring you more into like focusing on your own like finances, how it is that you go about things. And really there's going to be like a change that's kind of bringing you into this energy where like if you've been like maybe reliant upon other things, maybe something happens to where those aren't necessarily as available anymore, and you start having to depend more upon yourself. Changes are coming about. Again, this is just a preview, and you're going to want to take this as such, and maybe like understand that the big picture may not be exactly what you're thinking right now, even though you're just getting a preview of it, and you're getting a teaser, a taste of the energy, right? I'm going to be doing videos soon on like, I'd already recorded a video on the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, Saturn and Aries and all that, which are going to be very important for you over the next few years. So make sure that you're following me so you can catch those videos. I'm re-recording it so I can make the video as great as I possibly can for you, because we are talking about longer term things, and it's very, very much more important for Saturnian people than anybody else. All right, especially if you are like a Capricorn rising. Let me know in the comments if this is resonating for you. Give me a like, and make sure that you're following me again to catch future videos. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Catch you in the next one.